view settings that we're going to look at that get applied to various views of the view map are the partial structure display and the model view options. So looking at the partial structure display here, we have entire model without finishes, core only, or core of load-bearing elements. Generally speaking, everything is entire model. The only thing that's worth noting here is if you do switch to core only, notice that those finishes go away. That's defined actually by the composite or profile settings and what is a core versus a finish. So here in this particular composite for that wall, this is the only core element. That's this setting right here. That's core, so that's why that's still showing. What's important to note is that if you annotate or dimension, specifically if you dimension to a core only viewpoint, which seems tempting because then you know you're clicking on the core, you know that that dimension is dimensioning the core, switching back to entire model negates that dimension. The dimensions are specific to a partial structure display setting. So make sure that you're dimensioning in the partial structure display setting that you need those dimensions to be visible on. And unfortunately, there is just nothing in the dimension tool that's going to give us any association with core only versus. There's just no way to reallocate this to a different partial structure display. But all of our documents, all of our drawings are, as far as I'm aware, all entirely set to entire model. Now the model view options, these get a little bit more interesting. So this gives you sort of a level of detail control. So you have, for example, zone stamp visibility, where our floor plan, we might want to turn that zone stamp off for the reflected ceiling plan versus the floor plan where we want to show that zone stamp. Abutting slabs with identical finish can eliminate that line. Let's go into reserve so we can cycle through some of these settings. If beams are set to by model view option, and in fact you're going to see settings in the object tools and the door and window tools and various tool settings, element settings that say by model view option or by MVO. That's referring to all of this dialog right here. A lot of this doesn't get used because we just don't use the tools here very often for like curtain walls, for example. Or they're set and then just not worried about. You can hide the doors and windows by model view option. You can hide the door and window markers by model view option. You can hide and show the column plan symbol or the beam axis by model view option if those columns and beams are set to by MVO. So these are basic level of detail settings. An example of this would be like on the layout plan, where maybe we don't want to see the window and door marker because the scale of the layout plan might be 1/8 inch or even like 1:10. Depending on the size of the project, you might get a really small scale, and then those door and window markers really just eat up a lot of real estate within that scale. So you can hide those by layout plan, for example, and then those go away. Looking back here, if I go back to my floor plan layer combination, they're going to pop back on. That door marker right there pops back on. So you can hide those globally. You don't have to turn them on and off in the door and window settings. There are level of detail for stair tools. You could set the stair to show as floor plan or reflected ceiling plan based on the stair settings. Railing tool options where you can say I want to show X subcomponents of the railing or the stair. Let's see, CAD image doors and windows. We don't need to use that. It's almost always sort of full detail on those. CAD image coverings. I've never seen a reason to adjust the settings in here. We don't need to adjust to simple for wall coverings. The Swift globals, that's an add-on that I have, so ignore that. Door and window level of detail, you could say that I want to show my doors, let's see, this is full detail. Let's go to our site plan. And this might show doors as a simplified view. In this case, the door is not set to react to model view options, so just the marker goes away. But if it was set to by model view option, although the CAD image doors and windows are notoriously bad at working with model view options, so that could be what's going on there. And then we have miscellaneous settings right here where you can control door swing, window swing, opening line visibility in 3D, can be controlled here, although it is also editable in the CAD image door and window settings. If you're using the lamp tool, you can set by model view option and then determine viewpoint by viewpoint whether it's realistic, RCP, or electrical symbol. There are various objects that react to model view option settings in the object tool. If you see by model view option, this is the setting right here, object and lamp detail level for floor plan and 3D. It's sort of all across the board as far as like which objects are going to have MVO or model view option settings. You can hide and show MEP connections in the MEP add-on by model view option, and then the elevator object has its own specific model view option control right here for showing or hiding the doors on that elevator object. That is the model view option in a nutshell. 3D document and RCP floor plans sort of have their own unique approach. We'll look at that in a little bit.